Let's get one thing straight. I do not like beating the backlog. In fact, I hate the whole backlog in and of itself, because a lot of people approach it like it is a problem that they need to fix. And when I tried to do the same, guess what? It did not work. And so after a couple of years of research, I came up with my own solution that has worked for me. Hopefully it will also work for you, but keep in mind these are suggestions, not guides. Let's first talk about what is a backlog and how do we get them. A lot of people look at this from a gaming side, which I will do as well, but you can have a backlog with any sort of media that you enjoy, be it movies, books, or anything else. It is basically a library of things that we have never gotten to but want to experience. And the reason why we usually get so much of this stuff that we want to consume but do not have the time for it is because of sales. I think everyone can relate to this type of moment when they're in a store or just browsing an internet store and they see an item on sale that interests them. And it might be cheap, the sale might end in a little bit. Either way, you get a sort of FOMO situation, which you want to get that item, but don't really want to experience that thing at the time. You'll just tell yourself that I'll get to that eventually. And the issue is that eventually never really comes. And so congratulations, you have a backlog. Now let's try to get rid of it. Or actually, why are we trying to get rid of it? If you're anything like me, you probably feel intimidated just by the sheer size of it and also the money that you spend on this. You want it to be worth it. And so in your mind, or in my mind, you're not necessarily excited to experience all of it. You just want your money to be well spent. And so because there's so much of it, you feel like you need to approach it with a guide. And from my experience, those guides are usually all the same. You should first organize your whole library based on different stats that games have. How long do they take to beat? How well rated are they? Which ones you want to actually get to first? And then like separate them into genres and all that stuff. Some people use spreadsheets, some people just do it in their own like game launcher or something like that. And then they have this whole organized checklist of video games, which I actually do think is a good idea. You should have your games at least a little bit separated, and that just helps with analysis paralysis, which is an issue when you do not know what to choose because it just feels like you have too many options. And by organizing your list into tabs like how excited you are to play them, what the game length is, or just simply by genre, you will eliminate a lot of the other games, and now you're looking at a list of like 20 instead of like 150. However, the way that people approach this list of games is my biggest issue. Because a lot of people approach it like, we must finish all of the things that are on screen or we have failed. The backlog is basically considered a checklist, and that sucks, because the backlog cannot be a checklist. For example, if I do, let's say, vacuum, take out the trash and do the dishes, I have successfully cleaned my house. But for a backlog, the activities that you have there to check are always getting added, and so you cannot finish a backlog. It is impossible. Also, approaching the backlog like a checklist, like a list of things that you need to do, is something I find incredibly stupid. Because the whole reason why we bought all those video games is because we liked playing them. We liked experiencing them. And with this backlog method, you're going into these games not to experience them, but to beat them and check that game off your list and probably never come back to it. And now I'm gonna say something very harsh. You will not be able to experience absolutely everything that you want to get to in your life. And now say it with me, that is okay. Because your focus shouldn't be on experiencing everything. It should be trying to enjoy the things that you can actually experience and be in the moment. When I tried beating the backlog, I wasn't thinking about what I was doing right now. I was thinking about what will be the next thing I'll get to. And that is why I hate beating the backlog so much. Because by doing this, you're choosing quantity over quality. And I don't think that it matters that you experienced all these games if you did not enjoy it. And so for my solution, let's chuck the whole idea of a backlog out the window. And let's change our perspective on the whole thing. A backlog should not be a checklist, it should be a list of recommendations. Think of it like a video game fridge. You have a lot of options on what to pick, but you pick what looks good to you at that moment. And you get to the other things eventually. Now, of course, probably everyone has experienced this. You do not get to all of those things because sometimes they expire. And guess what? We all have a game or two that we bought thinking it looked good, but now look at it and think, why the hell would I buy this? And hopefully, you do not eat moldy bananas just because you paid for them. You missed your shot and that it's okay. You can always buy new bananas. But hey, maybe you found out you do not like bananas. Do you keep buying those? Do you force yourself into liking bananas? Unless you're making a YouTube video, you won't. And some people might love bananas, they might recommend them to you all the time, but you might not be into this monkey business, and that is okay. I will now stop with the banana jokes and move on to a different issue which you might be ignoring this whole time. Burnout. It is important to make sure that you actually want to play that day, because a lot of the times I came home from work, opened my Steam library, and after the whole day of telling myself that I want to play something when I come home, I did not feel motivated at all. Nothing looked good to me. But I still try to find something and force myself into enjoying it, because I told myself I will play something, and now I felt unproductive if I didn't. So please, think about if you actually want to play something that day, and if you don't, do not force yourself into it. It does not work. Take a break, come back a few days later, maybe even a few weeks or a month, and trust me, you will actually enjoy those games that you want to play. And so the takeaway from this video is that finishing your games is not something you have to do. Playing games, watching movies, or reading books should be a hobby and a form of escapism and relaxation. And by trying to make this whole list of statistics and what is the most effective way of approaching your whole list is just ruining the whole experience. You should pick on what feels right at the time. And sometimes a lot of the things that you want to get to will take a while before you get to them. And that is okay, because our focus shouldn't be on trying to complete as many things as possible. It should be to experience the things that we are doing right now. Because what is the point of living a good life if you never felt like you lived it? That was way too depressing, I'm really sorry for that. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it brought you something interesting, or you just felt entertained somehow. If you enjoyed it and want to see more, please like and subscribe. It helps a ton, especially because this is a new channel that has 0 subs as of making this video. In future videos, I want to talk about similar topics like this one, where I talk about my experiences or my opinions on different gaming trends or features and mechanics and all that stuff. If you decide to stick around for the future, I am very thankful for you, and I hope you will enjoy all of my future content. If you have any suggestions on different topics I should cover, you can leave them down in the comments. I will reply and read all of them. But now I hope you have a good rest of your day, and you have a good night's rest. See you in the next one.